to the Hope on the Hard Road podcast, where you and your family can find community, find encouragement, and find hope for the road ahead.
Yeah, I think the Lord is faithful. And so if you're a Christian, cling to Him. If you're not, I would just ask, hey, God, are you real? Jesus, are you real? Show yourself to me. I would say don't do life alone as well. Find another mom friend that you can connect with and just sharing your life with, praying with, encouraging. I think that's a huge one too.
Hey ladies, we're coming up on our Mom's Day Out conference this May 16th through 18th, and we would love to see you there. Join us for this incredible conference filled with lots of community connections, engaging speakers like Angela O'Brien of the Especially Organized podcast, and fun activities designed to rejuvenate the body, mind, and spirit. We still have several one-day conference tickets left, so bring a sister, a friend, or another mom journeying alongside you and join us up at the Oaks here in San Diego, California. Hope to see you there. Hey guys, welcome back. On this episode, the focus is on moms. As moms, we have our own unique stories to share. And as we approach World Down Syndrome Day, we are delighted to have Becky Wall on with us again today to share her story as a mom of a son diagnosed with both Down syndrome and autism. Becky works for FamilyLife as a field staff leader, serving families and moms connected to disability. And on this episode, she and I really enjoyed getting to catch up mom to mom. Let's get the conversation started. Oh my gosh, Becky, thank you so much for sticking around and talking to me on this episode, Mom to Mom. We're so excited. This is, leading into World Down Syndrome Awareness Month and all that goes on there. I just love to connect with other moms and hear your story. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here. I love your ministry. I love just talking about our story and just giving God the glory.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself for those that haven't heard from you yet. What do you do? What's your story? What's your family's story?
Yeah. So I'm married to Garett. We've been married for 16 years as of last month. We have 2 kids. So Lily is 14, all teenager. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And she is neurotypical. And then we have Isaac, who just turned 12 a few weeks ago. And he obviously has Down syndrome. He also has a dual diagnosis with autism as well. And so we found out about that right before he turned 10. So we've got him. Then he has several other diagnoses and things as well. And just he is, like my husband says, sweet and salty, but that's his nickname for him. but yeah, so that's our little family. And then I serve with Campus Crusade for Christ. I've been on staff since I was in college. I went to the University of Louisville for my undergrad. And when I graduated, God just captivated my heart and was like, hey, I want you to be involved in ministry. And so I ended up in North Carolina for a few years and then came back to Louisville, to the University of Louisville, my alma mater. Met Garett. Long story short, we fell in love, got married, had kids. And so I was serving with the campus ministry of Cru for a long time, 21 years. And then this last April, God opened the door wide open. And I stepped over to FamilyLife, which is a marriage and family ministry with Cru. And specifically, there's a new role we have, and I'm on the ground as a field staff member serving families impacted by disability. So mainly my focus is like moms and caregivers, but the whole family, siblings as well. So like our daughter and like helping her with siblings. So it's been great.
That's amazing. I'm so excited to hear that new position. It's beautiful to hear the awareness that's coming, right? Our daughter is 20, almost 21, and just the difference in awareness in the community, and in particular in the faith community, coming alongside our families and understanding disability and understanding the needs of the family. I love that. I'm so excited for you in that position.
Thanks.
You bet. Like looking back, what was your experience when you guys had your son in those early years? Like what's your story with those early years, especially as a mom, like I said, and especially the journey that you've been on as a mom?
Honestly, loneliness comes to mind as a big piece of the journey. The first year of Isaac's life, I just remember crying a lot. And I remember keeping towels by our couch because Isaac would eat and then he would spit up or have a reflux really bad. Turns out he's gluten dairy free.
Oh,
So that
totally.
answered a lot of questions when he was older, but we didn't know. And, we were survival mode. I had a toddler in tow, and then I had Isaac as a newborn. And my husband Garrett he was working at the University of Louisville at that point, and he was traveling a ton with work. And so I was just in survival mode. But also, I know I've shared this with you before, but like the control aspect came out. I'm like controlling and cleaning and just like organizing all of the rooms in the house and decluttering and everything. And I think that was my way to handle it, to kind of compartmentalize.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I identify with that completely. One of the things we talked about in our couples episode was just, when you had your son, like the story of like how the medical community handled that. And, because there's so much advocacy for that right now with the Down syndrome community and trying to get the medical community to understand, like, let's come alongside these families when
Mhm.
they experience this diagnosis at first.
Yeah, we are really blessed to have a very good story because I can count on both hands and probably all my toes of how many people have been like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that your kid has Down syndrome," or "I'm sorry that life's going to be rough." And we've had some of those random comments over the years, but the birth story was beautiful because our doctor was so kind and just let us through it. And I remember, like, when we had Isaac. Remember him being born and then putting him on my lap, like they do all moms and babies. And I remember his sweet hands, his middle and his ring fingers were webbed all the way together. And I remember having like a look of like I was freaking out. My doctor looked at me. She's like, "It's okay. It's cosmetic. He's breathing. He's fine. He's okay." And then my next kind of snapshot memory is looking over at Garrett, my husband, and seeing another doctor speaking with him and seeing tears in Garrett's eyes. So I was like, okay, no, what's wrong? And again, I remember my doctor saying, "It's okay. Like he's breathing on his own. He's okay." And yeah, she just really walked through it. Like the interesting thing is, so I'm a Christian, obviously, but she was not a Christian, but she walked us through. She was so kind and so gentle. I know not everybody gets that experience. So grateful. So yeah, they gave us space in the room to like process as a couple as they were like checking Isaac's heart and cleaning him up and everything. And obviously he had a hole in his heart when he was born. It closed up, thank the Lord, because a lot of individuals with Down syndrome are, I think it's more than half have the heart surgery.
Yeah.
So yeah, Isaac was able to bypass that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm just so glad again that the medical community did come around you
Mhm.
but then moving forward, you mentioned like the feeding and having the towels. I completely experienced that with our son who's lactose intolerant. And I would say, no, no, he's like, this is more than spit up. Like this is like
Mhm.
like a water hose. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot in the medical. And then you've got the sweet little sibling at home. Like,
Mhm.
how did you guys do in those early years with adjusting?
It was so hard to be really honest. Again, Garrett's traveling and the first year of his life, I don't remember, but after that, because I remember I had this journal. I think I've shared this with you before, but a journal with three other friends, good friends from college. We all met in crew. We were all part of like a prayer group together. And um, yeah, I remember it was my turn to write in it. And I didn't write in it over a year until like Isaac was over a year old. And I realized, oh my goodness, I've not been connecting with any of my friends from college.
Yeah.
And then that's what was my aha moment of like, I'm not connecting with anyone. And so I think that was kind of like the wake up point for me of like, okay, like I need to step out and continue through the grieving process, but I need to come out of it. And so as far as like moving forward, and I still have moments where like the grieving and sadness is real and the hard moments. Like the other day I was at the gym and I worked out next to this girl and her husband came with her. And I thought, man, wow, like I can't imagine Garrett coming to work out with me because we just don't have a sitter and like it's just hard. But I remember being sad, but then being okay, I can be thankful because I'm able to work out and it's okay. Just those moments, it can be really hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's real. Catch me up on what's going on now because I know there's been some transitions, right? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
there's been a lot. So a lot. Okay, so about a little over 2 years ago, so Isaac was almost 10 at this point, and we found out he had autism. He got the autism diagnosis, and Not sure if I mentioned that already here, not maybe at the beginning, but 2 plus 2 is kind of not equaling 4 for him. And I guess it never does for anybody, right? Because we're all unique. It was kind of like also like a puzzle. And another piece of the puzzle of his life was kind of figured out by that. And that was really hard. 2024, it's like the first day he went back to school in 2024, he did not want to go. Well, sorry. He wanted to go. The second day, he didn't want to go. And ever since then, he did not want to go back to school. There were some changes, I think, with his classroom that we didn't realize and some other things going on. He would either not go to school or it would take him like an hour to get out the door and we'd be late every morning. It was so hard. He's a short little guy, but he's thick and muscular. Like he's really strong, but he's also limp. And so you cannot move him because he's 12. So you're thinking, okay. So that's actually why I started working out at the gym this year. Cause I was like, okay, I need to be able to keep up with him and honor the Lord with my body, obviously first, but second, I was like, I need to be able to be stronger than him to handle him. As of recently, this past October, we pulled him out of school. We decided, okay, we're going to homeschool him part-time. And then the other part-time, he's going to go into some intensive ABA therapy, and he's loved it. So he started with like 5 hours a week, and then they're adding. So he's now up to 18. He's approved for up to 30 a week. But for him, the specific place he's at is excellent. It's been really good. And it's a smaller ABA clinic, and they really prioritize caregiver collaboration. And so like every other week we have meetings and stuff because they really want to involve the family, which I love. So it's been good. He asked to go like today. He didn't go until 2:30. And so I'm literally putting the timer on. I'm like, okay, we have like 4 more hours. Okay, 3 more hours. Like we have a long time. So the rest of the week he goes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he goes at 9. So earlier, which is good. But I don't have to like push him out the door to go. So I'm so thankful for that.
It's so tricky. I mean, we've tried everything education wise. We've done homeschooling and everything short of private school, but homeschooling, public school, non-public, et cetera. And it's just such a journey. Our kids they have different needs. And how are you doing with like self-care and stuff? Because so you're getting to the gym, like what do you do to take care of yourself? Because I know what it was like homeschooling. Like I know.
It's
a lot.
hard. And this is the second season I've homeschooled Isaac. So he has been probably to 6 or 7 schools and he's only 12. So he started out like at 3 years old in a public school, then went to another public. And then when he was 4, he went to a private school that was a wonderful school in the area. It had a specialty program for kids with Down syndrome. And I think that was when we kind of discovered, okay, he's not really functioning like someone who just has Down syndrome, but we didn't really understand because we were like, okay, is it sensory stuff? What's going on? So anyway, we ended up in a second private school and then public and then homeschool and then public and now homeschool again. So we've been a little bit everywhere, but I think right now we're in a sweet spot. So I'm thankful. I told Garett the other day, I was like, I'm going to feel like a new woman when I get more than 15 hours of like ABA therapy. But the drive is like a haul, but I will tell you, it is such a blessing. And I'm like, so some days I just work at a Panera that's like a mile away and I just stay there, or I'll spend time with the Lord there, or I'll catch up with a friend or make a call or whatever. I read a book, whatever. And then there's some days like on Wednesdays, he's 9 to 5 now. And I'm so grateful. So I'll drive home because it's worth the drive home. Soon my Bible study will be starting too. So I'll end up at church and be leading some women in Bible study.
With World Down Syndrome Day coming up, it's so, again, beautiful, all this advocacy that's out there for families now. And I mean, there just has been such a tremendous change just in the disability community at large. But looking back as a parent, as a mom in particular, what is one thing you wish someone had told you or that you had known looking back in those early stages? Or even just from perspective where you're at now, Maybe it's something you're telling yourself now, looking forward, like to future planning, like just to encourage.
Well, 2 things. I think just breathe kind of comes to mind. Just breathe. It's okay. It will be okay. And then the other thing, something like the last year, the Lord has kind of been putting in my mind is you can do hard things, whether it's parenting a kid with a disability, parenting a kid without a disability, right? Because it's just hard all across the board. But it's like you can do hard things. And for me, since I'm a Christian, I would say in the power of the Holy Spirit. With God's help, I can do that. I can do hard things. I can breathe. As far as what I would do differently, I'm not for sure. Like Isaac's whole first year of life, I don't really remember. So I know for some people, they get a diagnosis when their kid is like, if it's just specifically autism, it might be 3 to 5 years old. So they've had their kid for a couple of years. For me, it was right out of the gate. And we didn't know about it before he had Down syndrome. So yeah, I would just say, yeah, keep going. It'll be okay.
I mean, just taking it one step at a time and breathing, I think is
Mhm.
huge. That advice
Mhm.
is huge. It's everything for us as moms because our minds get going. We want to fix it. We want to make it
Mhm.
right for our babies, no matter how old they are. And just taking a moment to breathe,
Mhm.
that's huge. That's everything.
Yeah, I remember like Isaac was so when he was born, his bilirubin numbers were off. And
Yeah.
so we had to have like a pep light. Thankfully they had him come into the house. So we didn't have to stay in the hospital. And so my husband and I, we set up a sign that said Suntan City. So he was like laying it looked like a suntan, like
Oh,
a
I
tanning
love
bed.
that. Yes.
And so he was in it for like 4 days. We had to take him to the hospital every day and do blood work. And so it was like on day 4, we got the blood work back that was like Down syndrome positive. And so, but he had just gotten a good bilirubin number, like with the jaundice. Um, back. And so literally I was able to hold him for longer than like just changing his pull up or like feeding him. And yeah, it was so sweet because then we get the call and I knew what it was. I had Garrett answer my phone and I knew that he had Down syndrome. I just knew in my gut. But yeah, it was so sweet because he was out of it. And so I was like out of the suntan city and we were able just to like hold him because I was like, I just want to be with him and snuggle him. And I think comfort myself, comfort him, and just the grieving process.
Looking at being a mom to a sibling too, like what's one thing you would share with other moms about how to nurture the hearts of the siblings? And it's okay if you don't have it nailed down. We don't. We're
Mhm.
still learning, all of us. But just like what's one thing you've kind of found has been so helpful in that scenario?
Yeah, I think doing things with her, so going for a walk with her in the neighborhood, Lily operates like she opens up better when we're doing something together than I'm like, hey, let's just sit down and have coffee. Or not that she drinks coffee, but let's just sit down and talk. She says better when we're doing something. And so whether it's bowling or like shopping or whatever, she's not a huge shopper. I'm not really either. But like if we're going to go buy something that we need at Walmart or grocery shopping or whatever. Something recently we did this past summer is Garrett took a trip with her to the zoo in Nashville. And then she and I flew to Tampa and met another mom and daughter that used to live in Louisville. And we met them at the beach for a couple of nights. And so we're just finding, okay, trips are going to look differently for our family. Vacations look different and investing that time. So now Garrett and her have this thing, dad-daughter thing, where it's like they're going to go to different zoos together. So I think this summer they're either going to go to Indianapolis or St. Louis because it's an easy drive. And yeah, she has a heartbeat for animals. Yeah, she's going to volunteer at the Louisville Zoo this next summer, actually, which will be fun. I would say just quality time. So we've done she's at a stage where she's like, she could probably honestly stay in her room all day
Yeah.
by herself, but that's kind of normal. And so we got to pull her out of that a little bit. But yeah, I think just that intentional time. But yeah, we don't have it all together. I mean, it's hard. It's so hard. And it's like I think she feels like an only sibling a lot because it's like her and Isaac. So sometimes, honestly, I've wrestled with like, man, should we have had more kids? And we can't go back now. But there was a time that we were like, okay, maybe we should adopt one. The Lord saw that He knows exactly what we need. And He knows our family of 4 is what we need.
When it comes to also just marriage, right? I mean, we're wives too. We're not just moms, we're wives. What what do you have as advice for that relationship? Like what's that journey been like to be a wife walking alongside your husband, raising a child with special needs, navigating being a family?
It's been good. It's been hard and all in between, right? I think that's true for all marriages. Yeah, I think the hard part has been like parenting Isaac and then parenting Lily because they need to be parented so differently. And then I think the first few years of our marriage, like once we had kids anyway, were particularly hard just because Garrett was traveling a lot. And so we just wouldn't get that time together. But we'd have a lot of really good phone conversations. I do remember that looking back. And I think that's what really got us through. And I'm so thankful because sometimes that's better. Sometimes we do better on the phone sometimes or texting, when we text out our thoughts. Like, so that can be helpful than, just the way we operate.
Because our lives are so complicated. Like, how do we stay connected with our spouse? And
Mm-hmm.
especially as women, like with our
Yeah.
husbands, how do we make sure we're staying connected and those needs are being met
Mm-hmm.
both ways and that we're on the same page, even if we come at it
Yeah.
from different ways, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important.
So I think for us on Sunday nights, we try to have we're going through the week, kind of debrief at night. So after the kids are in bed, we just look at our schedules and just try to make sure we've got, you know, everything ready for the week. And then if there's anything that cleared the air, or if there's any something we really want to trust God for together, we'll talk about that. But it just depends. Sunday night sometimes like last night we had small group, and so we got back late, and so we talked, but we'd already been talking in the car anyway, so we had that extra time to just to connect as a couple. But something recently we started doing is on Wednesdays, we're going to grab lunch together, because we used to have Fridays built in as a natural date day, but now that Isaac is home, we get to share it with him, which is great. But I think the hard thing has been the childcare piece, finding somebody that really gets him. He's got a lot of medicines, a lot of behaviors and quirks and different things going on. And so it's just hard. But yeah, I think that we just started the Wednesday thing where we're going to do lunch. But now my Bible study is starting on it. So I think we're going to do a late lunch or early dinner before I get Isaac. So we'll find time. Yeah.
That's it. That's beautiful. You're making it happen, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
priority,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find a way, and that's huge. That's awesome. I always love to ask this of our guests, which is just, what's one thing you'd like to share with our moms that could help bring hope for the road ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lord is faithful. And so if you're a Christian, cling to him. If you're not, I would just ask, hey, God, are you real? Jesus, are you real? Show yourself to me, because he really is real. He's a real deal. And I don't know how parents with special needs, or anybody in general, how they can get through life without Jesus, because it is so hard. So hard. And it's hard enough with Jesus, right? To trust him with our own sin and our own flesh. But yeah, I would say run to Jesus. Try to rest when you can. I do not do a good job at this, but I'm I just need to sit down and rest. But I'm always thinking, okay, we got the lunches for tomorrow and this for tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, and sometimes Garett will be like, hey, Becky, do you want to sit down with us for a little while? And it's just hard in the evening sometimes, because my mind is just kind of just racking through the list. And putting it aside and just making sure your walk with Jesus is priority. And it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to be in this inductive long Bible study or anything, but, just grabbing your phone, and there's a YouVersion Bible app. There's a daily verse Bible app. So just grabbing a verse and thinking through it, or when you're driving. And Isaac, sometimes he's wanting special music, and I'm having to engage him. And sometimes he's fine without me. That's hard sometimes. Sometimes I'm able to listen to my own music, and he happens to have his iPad or something that day, So you just kind of go with it. But yeah, I would just say run to Jesus. And I would say don't do life alone as well. Find another mom friend that you can connect with, and just sharing your life with, praying with, encouraging. I think that's a huge one too.
Absolutely. So good, Becky. Seriously. And we'll connect with the show notes, all the things that you guys are involved in, because so want people in your community to reach out. That is beautiful. Becky, thank you so much for coming on today. I am just so excited that we had this chance to finally catch up. We kept trying, and we finally got this time.
I know.
And you're
amazing.
amazing. Keep going, Mama. You're amazing. Check out the show notes to find resources and contact information for today's episode.
Yeah, and if you like the podcast, please share it with others, and be sure to follow us so you won't miss an episode.
We love to hear from our listeners, so leave us a comment or rating, and connect with us on social media or on our website at hopeonthehardroad.org.